Hi, Come to Christ Ministries, and it's Jamie again, and this is my mom, Diana, and we wanted to come on here and share in hopes that we would inspire and help other mother-daughter relationships, because we have a testimony, and so that's what we're going to do here. We're going to share a little bit of our testimony, our early life together, and then what we've gone through, and how far God has brought us, and a lot of healing and things like that. So, again, my name's Jamie, and my mom, Diana, and I'm her only child, and she's my only parent. My real dad's name's Mike. Mom, did you want to share about your husband, like the early life before anything you're comfortable sharing?
I don't know. I'm comfortable sharing anything. I don't know.
Oh, good, because it'll help a lot of people. Because you have a testimony.
Okay, well, I don't know. Back in the day when I was in high school, I started using drugs, started with smoking pot, and got a boyfriend, which I think I was 13 then, 14. And that was Jamie's dad, but I didn't have her then.
How old were you when you had me?
Like 21.
21.
And then he became, well, we started using more different drugs and everything, and then he started using heroin, and I started using it when I was like 18. And
Well, where was this at? Where'd you grow up, and where'd you meet Mike?
oh, I was born and raised in Lodi,
Lodi, California.
California.
And he was your high school sweetheart.
Yeah, I guess that's what you call them.
And then yeah. Well, you met really young.
Really
met
young.
When they were 13.
Yeah.
And they did get married.
But
And they tried, but Mike Jackson was his name.
Was abusive and drank a lot and was a heroin addict. And he did protect me from the heroin, not using it and stuff, for quite a while.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because he wanted to hog it all. He did.
Oh, that's funny.
He didn't want to share any. Oh. No, I think he did it to protect me. But one day I found him in the kitchen washing a syringe out, and he would put it in between his hands when I came, and he'd pretend like he was just washing his hands. And then I caught him with a syringe, and voila, there goes our heroin days together. And
you're in your 20s at this time. Was I born yet?
no, I wasn't in my 20s. I was about 18, 19.
Oh, okay.
18.
You guys weren't married yet?
No.
Okay.
You got conceived probably on New Year's Eve of when were you born? 1979.
79.
And Oklahoma.
I was born in Lawton, Oklahoma.
She was born in Lawton, Oklahoma. And how we got over there was because Mike joined the Army, and he was stationed in Lawton, Oklahoma, and I went over there to join him. We got married just so I could have insurance coverage. Then I left him. I ran off to Texas with some dude. And then it was Mike's birthday in December. So I wanted to go back for his birthday, and it doesn't matter, does it?
Yeah, you could share anything you want.
Anyway, so I went back there and to see him for his birthday and for New Year's, and got pregnant, and had Jamie 9 months later.
Well, at least I wasn't premature, I guess, with all the stress.
No, but her mother's immature. Always and forever.
Do you, and it's totally okay if you don't, and I think you'll know what I'm saying, so we can cut it out if you want,
What?
but it's kind of neat, and it's a really big deal in the Christianity world, but did you want to share that one thing about when you got pregnant with me and you weren't sure?
Well,
But
when
you
I
don't have to, but it's kind of neat.
well, it's kind of like 40 years old, and I'm not quite sure. I know I got pregnant,
Yes.
and and in California, if you got pregnant, you can have abortions. It's not a big deal. But over in Oklahoma, if you get pregnant, it's a big deal, and you have to have money to get an abortion. And somebody was too busy borrowing money from my mom to get abortions, so I didn't want to bother her with any money for an abortion.
And you were 21.
Is that too much information?
No, you're fine. No.
Yeah, and I was about 21. Definitely not mother material. Never have been. I probably never would have been a mother if I didn't get pregnant with Jamie in Oklahoma. But yeah, I'm just not mother material.
That's
And
not.
my parents, they weren't loving, and they did the best they could, but I don't even think they loved each other, to tell you the truth. Well, Dad loved Mom, but Mom didn't love Dad.
And that was like the 1950 American, Leave It to Beaver type family that Mom grew up in.
Yeah, they were,
So there wasn't a lot of like emotion involved.
Yeah.
It was kind of all mechanical.
yeah, and I think that's why I latched on to somebody that was abusive. I mean, I didn't know he was abusive at first, but I stayed with him because I was really insecure and just needed to have security, even though he whipped my ass. But then I know he loved me and he would take care of me until he would start drinking and get angry and beat me. Anyway, so what else?
So you were. No, thanks for sharing that. I know that's really hard, Mom. This is going to help somebody, though. We're doing this to help somebody, and we have a happy ending that's still unfolding. So,
Boy, yeah, it's crazy.
So my mom went through a lot, and thanks for sharing this stuff, Mom. Thank you for sharing these things. It's really healing and good for you, and good for us, and good for whoever this will reach. But you were speaking about in Oklahoma, it was hard to have abortions and you needed money because you didn't feel like mom material and you were afraid was your reason that you were seeking to have an abortion, even though you were married, but you were very young, very afraid, and you're with an abusive man, and there was drugs involved. So you went to, how did that go?
Oh, we went to a church to get help.
To ask them for money for an abortion?
I know we asked for food. We asked for help.
So we didn't grow up believers. There was no talk about Jesus or God. There was no such thing as
Well, your dad
spiritual.
did. He did.
Oh, in the early times of that?
Let's see, where were we? Yeah, well, yeah, when you were, I know he did when you were born.
Well, even if it was surface level. There was no life transformation. Long story short about Mike Jackson, my real dad, he overdosed on heroin when I was 21 years old. So he's been long gone for a while.
Oh, God.
Yeah, he's been long gone. But
Why?
he would talk about Jesus.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I'd see him, because I see him once in a while when I became a teenager.
And we went to church sometimes together
I don't know.
in another
we weren't
state. It
Christians.
must have been Oklahoma.
We weren't.
He would say he was. He would.
There's lots of people that say they're Christians and still use drugs and still do this and still do that, and that's okay. That's between them and the Lord. But in my walk with Jesus Christ, I'm not going to. I want to see what God can do with me, and most of all, I want to break these generational curses. I don't want my kids to see a phony, fake Christian. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I'm kind of going off topic here, but I didn't grow up going to church or any talk about the Lord. And we weren't church goers. We were really screwed up people, is basically the bottom line.
Well,
but
yeah,
maybe
we
here and
ran
there.
away from Mike. And
So you went to a church to ask for help and ask for money for an abortion. And of course, a church wouldn't give money for an abortion. And so that's how I was born. And when my mom just recently shared that with me, and I just thought that was so neat that even back then, remember in the Bible it says, before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you. So he knew my mom. He created my mom in her mother's womb, and then I was in her womb. But way back then, he was intervening to have life be born for his purposes, for his glory. And that's what we're doing right here, right now, in this time, giving God glory. Does that mean I'm totally against abortions and I'm like one of those people that stand outside the picket fence, or the picket line or whatever? That's just me. I don't condemn people for abortions. That's between them and the Lord. And I'm getting off topic again really quick, but I've never really shared this. I don't condemn people for abortions. That's between them and the Lord. I share the gospel, and then it's up to them of what they're going to do when things like that happen, when drugs are involved, abortions are involved, whatever it is. But yeah, I'm not one of those Christians that says, you don't have abortions. Do I believe in abortions? I don't. But do I go around making a big deal about it? I don't do that either, because that only pushes unbelievers away and makes them hate us. For real. So, you did that. Then, I was born, and fast forward to you got divorced. She kidnapped me. In those days, it was illegal, I guess, to kidnap. But she took me in the middle of the night, and she left. And I was about 3 or 4 then. And so Mom went to, how old was I when you left?
Well, I came back to the United States, or back to California, with you from Lawton. The time we ran away from Mike is when we went to Arizona with his mother.
So it doesn't.
With his mother.
Oh, okay.
And what?
You never saw you pretend. He thought we ran away to Canada, and I was still a little baby, or whatever. And then my mom went to a drug program in Napa Valley called.
And you were about 4 or 5.
Yeah, and you want to talk about our family?
And then when I did come back to California, I started using drugs again, and I couldn't seem to get away from him and Mike and whatever. So I had to ditch him, and I went into a drug rehab. I stayed with my parents and went into drug rehab. Jamie went and lived with my sister in Manteca, my only sibling. And she lived there for about a year while I did a live-in drug program for a year.
Shout out to Aunt Kai and Uncle Matt. They were a blessing.
Yeah. They are. They're good people.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I got my shit together and got out of there, out of that program. Got my daughter, put her back through kindergarten. She went to kindergarten when she was in Manteca with my sister, but she was a early kindergartner, so I put her back through again.
And then you met Ken. Yeah. He was the dad that raised me
When you were about
when I
5,
was 5 to
6.
16, and he was a good dad. He was a good, very good stepdad. He was never, you know, you hear a lot about step parents. He was never inappropriate. He taught me a lot about love and depth and things like that. But again, he, you know, was also a drug addict. But we were happy for a long time. For a few years, we'd go camping. We'd have a lot of fun. It was just us three. Mom never had another baby with him, and I was his only daughter, so to speak.
Yeah.
But when that broke up, that was, I think, hurtful for us a lot. It was pretty hard.
It was very hard, very hurtful. And at the time, me and him were splitting up. Well, he was supposedly in recovery, but he was still smoking pot. Went through the program I went through and for drinking, and he always warned me that don't ever be around him drunk. But then he was working for the program after he went through it, and he ended up getting fired because he had a dirty urine test. And that's when I discovered he was doing cocaine and smoking pot, and I didn't want that in my life. And I didn't know what to do because we were buying a house together. So my mom and dad helped me, excuse me, pay him off so I could keep the house for me and Jamie, which I did, but I had to get a roommate. And I got a roommate and ended up marrying him. And Ken went out on the streets after a while after he blew all that money on drugs and stuff, and just became a bum and started drinking again and killed his liver, and that's what he died from, right?
Yeah. And he just recently died.
He died on the same day Papa died on.
Really? I don't remember.
But not, it's the same date, but not the same
not
year.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and then with my mom and I through this whole time.
Oh yeah, Jamie had a really nice boyfriend that she really loved, and that was Ryan. And so when me and Ken were splitting up, her and Ryan were not doing too good, and they split up. And Jamie was like maybe 18 years old, and that's when she started smoking cigarettes. I mean, I started smoking when I was like 14, you know, in high school, cool and everything. But she got past all that, never smoked or anything that I know of. And then she started smoking when she was with him or getting ready to break up with him or whatever.
Yeah, that's when.
And that really hurt. I know that really hurt her when she lost Ryan.
Well, I was still really young. And
Well,
I also clinged on to
Man.
a boy, but he
Yeah.
was a nice guy. He wasn't harmful or anything. And he's actually become very successful and has a nice family of his own. But I clung on to a guy. But my mom and I were kind of close. I mean, I would always spend time with her, and we'd go to work. I'd go to work with her all the time, and but we wouldn't. How would you say we were when in that middle of Ken being there? How would you describe how we were?
When it was us three?
We weren't huggy or anything, but we were around each other a lot, right?
Yeah.
And you'd surprise me sometimes, and we'd go places together and things.
Yeah.
But you worked a lot.
I worked a lot.
Mom worked a lot.
And I worked a graveyard shift, so I had to sleep in the daytime. And
Oh, yeah. They both slept a lot in the daytime. I pretty much felt alone a lot. I was alone a lot, but I had a mom and a dad, and I was the only child. So, anyway, fast forward, Mom gets divorced, and that was the only dad I knew, and he was a great dad, so that hurt. And then my mom had to go through all this stuff of her second husband, when all my mom really wanted was a family,
Happy home.
you know, marriage, and a lot what most women want, a marriage
Yeah.
and family, and close, but none of us knew how to be close. And the thing is, we didn't have a good foundation. None of us did, but I was the kid. But anyway, so Sean moves in, and then I start doing drugs, and, you know, Mom's trying to get reestablished now. So how was that for you? And I left because now I'm on drugs and I'm hurt. So I took off trying to be with different boyfriends and fit in somewhere. So I just started doing drugs really, really bad. And that lasted, I was homeless and everything. So me and Mom were really disconnected at that time. Do you want to describe any of that stuff? How we were, or how you felt about me, or anything you were going through watching
Well,
me
me
or-
and Jamie, when we were together before all this splitting up with husband and number 2, and when she started, and before she started getting on drugs, I felt a lot of our foundation was the drug program that I went through. And because I lived there for a year, and then I worked for them for, I don't know, 10 years or something. And Jamie always was around them and exposed to all this stuff, you know, at the rehab, the people and healing and what's wrong, what's right. She knew all that. But once I split up and she split up with Ryan, and all that went downhill. And I don't know where I was going with this.
You felt like our family was our foundation. And
Well, yeah, it was. That
We
was
were-
one of the best times of my life.
I'm going to get you a tissue, Mom. Oh, here, I can use this.
I mean, we used it for family time. You know,
Yeah.
like on Halloween, we'd be over at our family, and you know, I'd be dressed up as a monster. And
We spent Thanksgiving with, it was a
Thanksgiving, my
big,
parents would come even still, just because I worked there and was affiliated and a graduate from there. My parents would even come up, and that's where we would have our family time.
yeah, our family was, that's what the drug program was called. And it was in Napa, California, where Mom and we got established. She bought a home there and still has that house to this day. So Napa is where I grew up, but our family was on the state hospital grounds, and it was a long-term, old-school drug program.
Oh, yeah.
It was a cool program. It was like a year long, and they had juveniles, you know, teenagers all the way up to however old people.
Old. I was
Yeah.
27, turned 27 when I was in the program.
Yeah. And so we were always there, and then my
And now I'm 67.
67.
40 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
But we were always there, and then so when my dad Ken, because they both worked, my mom and dad Ken both worked there as drug counselors type. But, you know, Dad got found out he was doing drugs and got kicked out or whatever and divorced. So now Sean moves in, and I'm on drugs. Mom remarries. And it's Mom's third marriage. They've been married for 20-something years. How many?
22 years this month.
They've been married for 22 years. Wow.
See.
And so I've shared my testimony on that, but that was hard for me. But one thing is I wanted to be with my mom. But there was so much hurt between both of us, separate and between both of us, because we would yell at each other, scream at each other. We were just both lost as women, you know? And so she couldn't be a mom to me. She's going through her own issues, and then I just wanted a mom and to have a relationship, but I didn't know how to get that. And so,
And you were using.
yeah, and I was using. And that was my only friend at the time, and I don't regret it. That was my life.
Yeah.
And the homeless people were my family. I still wanted my mom, and I'm sure she wanted me, but we didn't know how to come together to have a relationship. And that was for many, many, many years, right?
Like 20 years. 20 years.
Yeah. And
I
sometimes
didn't think I would ever get my Jamie back. I honestly didn't think I would.
I never thought I'd have a mother. I really didn't. I just thought mom's busy and hurt and in her own, and married now and in her own life, and I truly felt like she didn't want me around. And we're saying this to help people. But that's my side. So we each have a different side of how we're feeling, but a part of it is taking ownership. Like I had to take ownership of the damage I caused, and also I had to learn to let things go that might have hurt me about my mom's decisions or whatever. I had to empathize with my mom, that she's a woman who went through a lot of things, and I had to realize and not care that if I felt like a victim or anything like that, like my mom is a victim as well in life with these different men and her upbringing or whatever the case is. So Jesus came into my life when I was homeless, and I cried out and I asked, who is the one true God? I didn't know who it was. And so he picked me up, and it's been a journey, and Mom and I still, this is recent that we've
Bonded, not argued, and not been shitty or sarcastic or crappy to each other.
Yeah.
And we're like going on our third year of being able to communicate and everything. And that's why we're out here on a cruise.
And so that's what, yes, and that's one thing is when I was saying I always wanted my mom, and I'd see her go hang out with other people, and it used to hurt me a lot, and I'd be so jealous because I was like, why doesn't she want to be with me? And now that when I was clean and sober, and I was, established even when I was married and stuff, and I would wonder, why, I wonder if I could, and it actually was a prayer. I remember praying, I hope someday I could go on a vacation with my mom or do something with my mom, because we've never really done anything like this ever.
Well, yeah, especially since we lost Ken out of our life, and I mean, we did the best we could with him.
Yeah, we did.
And, like camping and stuff, and we went places.
Yeah, things like that.
Fishing.
But as an adult,
Yeah.
as a young lady and as an adult, I would just want to be with, I would want my parent. I'd want to hang out with my mom. Mother's daughters, they go hang out, they go shopping, they love each other, they talk, they drink coffee together, they do things like that. And I know that my mom wanted that too. I really do know there was something special that could be between us, because I know we loved each other, but again, we didn't know how to get it. But I'll wrap this up, but it's the Lord. And I would pray for my mom all the time. I'd pray for her. I'd pray for our relationship, and I would stay in my own lane. I would leave her alone. I wouldn't get frustrated, and if I wouldn't say anything to her. I would take it to the Lord all the time, whatever I was feeling, because now I'm in a habit. We get in a habit of hurting each other or yelling at each other or taking things out on each other. Mothers, daughters, sons, and fathers. It's rampant now. It's all in families. Families are being broken, torn apart a lot. And now a lot of it's like politically fueled. But anyways, so Mom and I have healed a lot, and it's all glory to the Lord. And Mom took me and the boys on a cruise, and that's where we're at. So you got the beautiful ocean in the background. We're on our way home. Mom treated us to a 7-day cruise, and we had a lot of fun. I think.
Yeah, no arguing, no sarcasm, no.
No.
We had one rough day, but
We did?
or moment, I should say.
Oh, yeah.
But that's neither here nor there. We got over it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, of course, I found out my mom's best friend.
Yeah, we got to Vancouver and we found out Mom got a phone call that someone that's been in her life the whole time in our life is on hospice and is passing
Yeah.
away. And we don't know, she might be passed away. So Mom was a little bit upset. And when they were in this big city,
And the on and off bus did not work right, and I wasted money on that. Don't ever take the hop on, hop off bus in Vancouver.
do not take the hop on, hop off bus in Vancouver.
They only
Actually,
come around every 45 minutes.
and a lot of people from the
Or-
cruise wasted their time
Yeah.
about 2 hours, and then you don't even hop on, hop off.
Yeah.
But don't do it.
So we didn't hop on.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask Mom if she wanted to share, and because we want to help people and know that there's hope, right, Mom?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's
Yeah.
hope and healing, and we're still healing, and still things are unfolding, but we're going to wrap this up. And I just want, thank you for doing this, Mom. I'll pray for anybody out there really quick. Father God, we just thank you for this time. Thank you that you healed us.